Hello and welcome to the ISCA Thursday Cup and Super Cup series, and we sure are excited to be here. It's been a long journey this season for the Super Cup. A lot of races we have been through, and we are finally at the conclusion of where we are going to crown a champion. 4 drivers are going to come into tonight's race, and only one will leave as the champion. Clayton Hoffman, of course, one of our championship 4. Mark Pageant also won. Jeffrey Souza also won, and Matt DeCiani. And what's really cool about it, in practice, the top 4 are all playoff drivers. Isn't that something? My name, of course, is Brian Britt, and of course, I'm joined in the booth by Big Al. How you doing, Big Al?
Hey, Brian, I'm doing pretty outstanding here. Man, just another great afternoon in sunny Phoenix, Arizona, where tonight we shall crown our Super Cup champion. 4 drivers going to come in here tonight, Brian, but only one is going to be crowned the champion. There are at least 2 teams that are going to be competing for this. Let's just see if the best team should win.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the case here. Very difficult to pass at this racetrack, too. We've been seeing that kind of all week long. So the setups are going to matter pretty heavily here tonight. Hopefully everybody brought their A game, brought the best things that they could possibly, bring to this racetrack, unloaded the best they could here as we tackle the ButtKicker 156, the championship race. Of course, this is not the end of the ISCA. After this race, of course, we still have the Cup Series. But this race is going to feature 156 laps. Stages are 30 and 60. 5 tire sets down in the pits. That's a little bit more than I think we usually see. 65 laps is the fuel window. And I've heard a lot of guys talking about the setups and how the 75% fuel tank really does change the handling in these race cars at this racetrack.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to be a factor that we're going to have to be very cognizant of tonight to see if those guys can actually get the handling of those cars dialed in and get it where they need to be so they can be successful here tonight, Brian.
Well, just like I said, the ISCA is, of course, is not over after this race. We don't have any breaks in ISCA. We keep on trucking. We keep on racing. We're looking at the Cup Series points, which we just started, I do believe, 5 races ago. Mark Pageant right now at the top of the board with Matt DeCiani in second place, Jeffrey Souza in third. So a pretty interesting picture, kind of similar to what we're seeing in the Super Cup Series, except for the lack of Clayton Hoffman. But Kenny Powell in 4th place. 5th place, Derek Heitman. I do believe he's going to be racing tonight. 6th place, Al Kozlowski. 7th place, Greg Wachinski. 8th place, Don Avery. 9th place, Andrew Griesbaum. And speaking of Clayton Hoffman, he's all the way down there in 10th. Of course, he's got 3 wins, but he has not been at every single race like some of the other guys have. So he's got a lot of catching up to do in that Cup Series points. And no really reason to look at the Super Cup points because we know whoever wins this race is going to come home with a championship. No points are going to matter here in this race. The stages don't matter for these guys. Of course, the stages do matter for the Cup Series standings. But the Super Cup, those stages might as well not even be there. They're just guaranteed cautions, Big Al.
Sorry about that. ATVO strikes again. Absolutely right, man. That's all it is. We're just waiting to get this one in the books, man. And I think it's going to be a pretty sporty event. Just can't wait to see how it plays out. A lot of drivers going to be here. Looks like we got well over 15 drivers in this field. Only 4 drivers here to compete for the money. Maybe those guys will be able to make it through the end.
Yeah, this is going to be a race of not making mistakes. We've seen that before. We've seen it time and time again in all the races I've called in my, iRacing broadcasting career. And I've seen guys throw away a championship just based on a mistake, a pit road speeding penalty, something like that. It all goes away when something like that happens, especially in that final stage. And if you lose track position at this track, it is insanely difficult to get it back. Of course, you see qualifying has been going on for quite some time here. We still have a little bit over a minute left here as we're watching Greg Wachinski trying to turn in some qualifying laps here. So far, it looks like Clayton Hoffman is at the top of the board. In practice, he was, I do believe, a 10th faster than the rest of the drivers. But we'll have to see if that carries on because this is a track that is all about long-run speed. You have to take care of your equipment. You might sacrifice speed in the beginning, but have a lot more speed left later. So I expect some drivers to have that kind of strategy in mind. But let's go ahead and take that step away, play our national anthem, and we'll be right back with your starting grid.
Oh, say, can't you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel comfortable, bro. We get a hug. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We have the grid set here for tonight's action. Definitely excited to see what these guys have in store for us this evening. Clayton Hoffman, of course, going to be starting on the pole, with Matt DeCiani going to be starting in second place. Third place is going to belong to Mark Pageant, with fourth place being Derek Heitman. Fifth place is going to be Jeffrey Souza, with sixth place being Wayne Grossi. Seventh place is going to be Greg Wachinski. Mark Sanchez in eighth place. Ninth place, Al Kozlowski. And rounding out our top 10 is Kenny Powell.
Yep, I think I'm having technical difficulties, but it looks like 11th place is going to be Darren Mullins, with 12th place Andrew Griesbaum. 13th place is Paul Osen, with 14th place Derek Jacobs, or Randy Drumhiller, and Andrew Layton round out this 16-car field.
Yep, that is correct. So definitely going to be a good one here. Clayton Hoffman going to be starting out on the right. And, definitely all these guys are going to be trying to work again, to try to see if they can't out Clayton. I mean, Clayton is just a outrageously good driver, and I've been hearing tell that he's got a really strong setup for this racetrack here. So I just don't know what you do. I mean, what do you do when you're stacked up against Clayton, the guy that wins almost every race he enters?
You wreck him.
That's when you send out the PayPal, right?
Oh, I mean, there was a TV show back in the 80s called The Fall Guy, and we'll just have one of those there out there and amongst the field, and we'll just fall into Clayton.
Like, I didn't see you there, bud. I'm sorry. It was an accident, I swear. Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are rolling. The pace car lights are out. Everybody's going to be doubling them up as we're going to be going green for the first time here in the championship event. And what a place to do it at. Phoenix Raceway. There goes the pace car down pit road as we take the long and arduous journey to the green flag. Definitely one of the unique features of this racetrack is, you know, how odd the pit road is, to be honest with you. I mean, the pace car goes down way before these guys get the call to green. And, of course, there has been a lot of changes to the configuration to this racetrack over the years. As we enter the Geico restart zone, the green flag is out for the first time. Clayton Hoffman getting a good jump. Mark Pageant sailing it down into the dog leg. He is going to clear Matt DeCiani. What a move. And you see now Jeffrey Souza has worked his way up to 4th place. Side by side there for, I do believe, 5th. We see Greg Wachinski going to be giving a spot up to Derek Heitman. Heitman is one that could be a spoiler here in a lot of ways, Big Al. Not to say that he could affect the results of the championship here, just considering how fast he is.
Yeah, Brian, I'm having technical difficulties having a restart. I'll be with you momentarily.
All right, well, the race is continuing here as we're now on lap 2 going to lap 3. And it looks like for the most part everybody has settled their differences and are now single file. Clayton Hoffman right now in 1st, Mark Pageant 2nd, Matt DeCiani in 3rd. As here comes DeCiani, going to be looking deep into the dog leg, but not going to be able to get side by side. It is just so difficult to pass here. You see Jeffrey Souza being pressured by Derek Heitman. Let's take a cockpit camera here on Heitman. Right now we're looking through the eyes of the 76 here. He's got Wayne Grossi behind him. And Grossi looked incredibly fast in practice. Was one of the top 5 fastest drivers in practice. So I'm curious what he's got in the tank. That 7's been looking very impressive here later in the season. Of course, definitely going to be looking at him with a lot of potential, just considering we do have some more racing to come. This season is not, or of course the Super Cup season is over, but we still have the Cup season. Got to keep in mind, if you see all the racing these guys do and you're impressed and you want to be a part of it, try to reach out to Kenny Powell. You might be able to get into this series. You see Jeffrey Souza driving up a little bit higher up on the racetrack in 3 and 4, or I should say 1 and 2. So some different lines here, but for the most part, the bottom line is the place you kind of want to be at this racetrack. Definitely very important that you back your corners up to get the runs out. Do have to mention that the stages are 30 and 60, so do have about 25, going to be, I do believe, 24 to go next time by. Clayton Hoffman starting to be put under a little bit of pressure himself here. Mark Pageant showing the nose, trying to look underneath, just not able to quite get there. Here comes Kenny Powell driving underneath the 5 of Greg Wachinski. Looks like he's going to get clear and take over 7th. Kenny Powell, I've heard a lot of good things about that 24 car this week. Been hearing that he has a very, very fast race car on the long run. Clayton Hoffman still trying to battle and trying to keep Mark Pageant back there. But the thing is, he cannot let Pageant push him to burn his tires up, because that is something that could definitely be a valid strategy to try to topple Clayton Hoffman from taking the crown tonight. Now Kozlowski starting to catch up to Greg Wachinski. Going to be putting a little bit of pressure on him here. Wachinski just does not seem like he's very much on the pace here tonight. It's definitely a very difficult track if you don't have the balance of the race car just right. I mean, this is such a flat racetrack, so if you have missed the mark just even a hair, it could cause that car to get really loose or really tight and be just a pain in the rear end. Of course, Clayton Hoppin definitely loving every bit of this clean air out here. This is definitely a track that clean air will aid you, just considering it's all about handling. It's all about, turning the car, but not turning too much. Loving what I'm seeing out of Wayne Grossi. He is starting to put pressure on Derek Heitman. Heitman looked like he was starting to really put some pressure on Souza, but Souza is kind of taking off right now. Top 4 looking very strong at the moment. Kenny Powell with a huge run of momentum. He's going to be catching up to the 7 very quickly. Taking a look through the cockpit camera here of this 24 as he runs down the 7. Definitely taking a little bit of a narrow exit there in turn 4. But it looks like he gets a very wide arc here in 1 and 2, so that's going to help him out quite a bit. He's going to stay right there on the back of that yellow number 7. But the bad thing about it is it's so difficult to pass here. You really have to almost do slide jobs and just throw it in there straight up cinder, if you want to get a position. Wayne Grossi now side by side with a 76, looking up to try to get into the top 5 here. Grossi just not able to get there, though. It is so difficult to pass here. I just do not envy any of these drivers. I mean, it is going to be a frustratingly long drive. That's what makes qualifying so important here at this racetrack. You can tell that these guys are definitely in racing mode, considering their lap times about a half a second slower than what they did in qualifying. So I do believe these guys are definitely in somewhat conserve mode to try to figure out what they got here. Definitely going to be probably making a lot of adjustments when it comes to that end of this first stage, and probably going to be a lot of adjustments in stage 2. So that's one good thing about the stages, even though they don't mean much for the points for the Super Cup season. They do give these guys an opportunity to make adjustments to the race car, and that's going to be important. Top 4 are all the final 4. Clayton Hoffman right now is up front out of these 4. With Mark Pageant second, Matt DeCiani third, and Jeffrey Souza back here in 4th place. Been fairly clean right now as we're now 16 laps into it. As we crossed over, just crossed over the halfway point of the stage. I do believe we're starting to get to that struggle period of the run here as everybody has fallen off almost a second a lap here. Last time by it was 28.37 from Clayton Hoppin, and that's about what most people are running, 28.4, 28.6, somewhere in that area is about where everybody's running lap time-wise. Best lap, so as I mentioned, 27.491 there from Clayton Hoffman, so definitely pretty much a second of fall off already, and we're only 18 laps into it. So how much worse is it going to get as we see Al Kozlowski with a big loose condition here. But here comes Mark Pageant side by side for the lead. Pageant dives it in, and he's going to get it done. He is clear for P1. This is big news. If he wants to keep his championship hopes alive, this is exactly what he needs to do right now. Will Clayton respond? See Matt DeCiani starting to drop off the pace quite a bit here compared to the guys in front of him. Looking at last lap, Clayton Hoffman, a 28.9. That is very slow compared to what Mark Pageant ran. That was actually, I do believe, 3/10 slower. So something might be wrong with the 92, or could this be on purpose? See Clayton looking like he's starting to get a little tight. No doubt that could be as a result of the dirty air also. Oh, Jeffrey Souza bounces off the wall a little bit there. That is going to give the opportunity here to Derek Heitman. Heitman has started showing up here. He was under a lot of pressure from Wayne Grassi, but I think that he was just saving his equipment, and I think that that was probably a very good call as he's going to be moving forward here trying to catch up to Jeffrey Souza. Souza getting really tight. I'm noticing that's the trend right now. A lot of these drivers are getting very tight. Look at that. Souza almost hits the wall. Mark Pageant now out front, almost a 7/10 of a second lead over Clayton Hoffman. He's got to be feeling really good about this, but you can never count out Clayton. Never underestimate that 92. The lap times have fallen off substantially here. 28.8, 28.7. I mean, some of them even hitting a 29-second lap. Definitely a lot of fall off. I mean, almost I do believe a second and a half right now. As you can see, we're verging on, I do believe, 6 laps to go here in the stage. I do believe Mark Pageant looking like he's got the ability to do it. But, of course, this is not the real challenge. The real challenge comes later after Stage 2 is concluded. That's when the real race starts. That's when the long-run setup is going to be truly, really going to be the main thing. I mean, you got 60 to 156. So that is almost, I do believe, a 90-lap run, or a little bit over, give or take. And that's a long run. Of course, these guys can only make it 65 laps. So if they split that in half, that's 45 for each run. Still a long run. That's longer than any of the stages. So we're going to see cars in their a little bit of an unknown, status there, I guess you could say. Wow, look at that. Interesting to see. I just noticed this. Greg Wyszynski has gotten by Kenny Powell. We saw Powell charge up and pass Wyszynski earlier, but I think Wyszynski might have been saving his equipment and has retaken that position. Is back up into 7th place. Big fighting, though. Derek Heitman is going to get around Jeffrey Souza, and he takes over 4th. Jeffrey Souza seems like he's starting to struggle, and Matt DeCiani might come under fire here from this 76. So definitely the 1 and the 14 going to be looking to make some adjustments on these race cars. Something is not going right now. If I was in the one camp, or if I was in that 14 camp, there would be alarm bells ringing right now. We need to do something. Throw the toolbox at it and figure out what we can do to make these cars handle better on this long run, because that's what this championship is probably going to end up coming down to. As we see the 76 hounding the 1 of Matt DeCiani. Here comes Heitman. He's going to only have 1 lap to do it. I do believe white flag is going to be in the air for the stage. Heitman all over the one. The one dives deep into the dog leg. The white flag out for the stage. And it looks like Mark Pageant is going to sail off into the sunset. Looks like he has the best car right now, especially for this 30-lap run. And Mark Pageant crosses the line as your Stage 1 winner. Yellow flag should be out any time now. We just have to wait for Randy Drumhiller to cross the line, and there it is. Yellow flag is out. Stage 1 has concluded. Mark Pageant, your Stage 1 winner. Clayton Hoffman second. Matt DeCiani in third. Fourth place, Derek Heitman. Fifth place, Jeffrey Souza. Sixth place, Wayne Grossi. Seventh place, Greg Wachinski. Eighth place, Kenny Powell. Ninth place, Mark Sanchez. And rounding out our top 10 is Randy Drumhiller. We'll take a brief step away. We'll be right back with your Stage 1 winner.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
Or there, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel comfortable, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're just one moment. We're going to grab up Mark Pageant. I do apologize for us taking so long to grab you, Mark. Big Al's having some major technical difficulties, but figured we'd grab you up and talk about your Stage 1 win, man. I mean, you're in prime position. You seem like you got the best car. How you feeling, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good. Car felt good on the long run. You know, I was just following Clayton, waiting for him to pull away from me, actually. And then all of a sudden he slipped up and I got by. So I'm kind of as surprised as everybody that I'm here right now.
Yeah, it seemed like Clayton was starting to struggle a little bit there on that longer run, but you definitely had it taken care of. It looks like you guys are getting ready to go back green, though. We'll let you get back to it. Who can we get a mini shout-out from for while we got you?
Yeah, thanks to the team. Thanks to our sponsors, Triad Enterprises, Racing Enterprises, and Susan Media, Stan Adlazer.
All right, man. Well, thanks for your time. We'll let you get back to it.
All right, thanks, guys.
Alrighty, that was Mark Pageant there as we get the call to go back to green flag racing. Mark Pageant with the pole. Let's see if Clayton Hoffman can take the lead back here. Derek Heitman has been slowly but surely working his way through this field. I'm wondering if he's going to be able to get up here to the lead. I have no doubts he has the pace to do it as he is now underneath the 92. But Mark Pageant going to be sailing off into that Arizona sunset. See Jeffrey Souza trying to fight on the top here. Wayne Grossi trying to make a move. We did see on pit road during our commercial break that Matt DeCiani missed his box, and that is why he finds himself back there in 7th position. Definitely not what you want to do when you're trying to go for a championship. Kenny Powell driving it all around the top side here. Going to be getting a good run on Matt DeCiani. Not able to get there, though. He's going to try to cross over here. He's going to go deep into the dog leg. Deeper than I think a lot of people are willing to go. Mark Pageant still out front. Clayton Hoffman has secured second place. Hopefully he's been making some adjustments. That 92 definitely did not look very championship material there towards the end of that stage, but definitely still a lot of time, a lot of opportunity for him to adjust on that race car and figure out what is ailing that machine. And could it be that 75% fuel tank we were talking about earlier? I mean, that definitely causes the balance to change just enough that it could cause problems here at this racetrack, as everybody has single filed out for the most part. I've just been so impressed with what Wayne Grossi has been managing to accomplish here. If you told me at the first of the Super Cup season that he would be a top 5 regular, I don't think I would have believed you. Now 39 laps into this race course. Stage 2 will conclude laps 60 to 61. Of course, the stages don't matter too much when it comes to points for these Championship 4 drivers. Track position means all the more. So that is why Matt DeCiani's fumble on pit road has definitely got to have him kicking himself here. Saw such a strong Matt DeCiani earlier in this season. Just have not seen that fire I think we saw earlier in the Super Cup season. I think that towards this later part of the playoffs and stuff like that, he just has not been the DeCiani, but he's done. Of course, that is still a good driver, just considering DeCiani still able to qualify for the Final Four. That is an accomplishment all on its own. Nose to tail pretty much all throughout 3rd through 5th, or through 7th, I should say. Definitely some great battling here. It's kind of a train of race cars. I mean, these guys are all over each other's back bumpers, but giving each other plenty of room. That's what the ISCA known for. These guys always driving each other with respect. Even if one of the guys don't like each other, they still most of the time treat each other with pretty good respect. Definitely a pretty sizable gap, though, between Clayton Hoffman and Derek Heitman. But I think that's what Heitman's strength is right now. He kind of backs it up in the earlier portion of the stage, and then he just starts going forward. It's like flipping a switch. I mean, it just shows you how much the tires mean at this track. Those first 5-10 laps, if you start mistreating them, or you start beating them up, they're gonna get you right back. Got some side-by-side racing further back here as Andrew Griesbaum is side-by-side with, I do believe, Darren Mullins here. Griesbaum's going to be able to make that pass stick, and he's going to move his way up into 12th place. Now 45 laps into the race, going to be 46 here. And that means 15 laps to go here in stage number 2. Mark Pageant, of course, if you just joined us, won stage number 1. Wondering if he's going to be able to get the stage 2 dub and also the race victory. That's what it really matters here. If I was in the Clayton Hoffman camp, my alarm bells would be going off. We need to make some adjustments. We need to make something happen to change our predicament right now. Because when you're behind the leader, it is so difficult to pass that leader. it seems like this is a lot of ways a one groove racetrack. You know, and I think that's what makes it so difficult for these guys to pass. I mean, yeah, there's so much room on this racetrack. So you would think that would mean, yeah, there's going to be a lot of side-by-side racing. But a lot of times with this track, if you go side-by-side, that slows you down to where all the other drivers that are not side-by-side are going to catch you, possibly even pass you.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. But, you know, I think one thing, though, that you got to keep in mind is you were saying that the alarms should be going off in that 92 camp, and I don't think there's no reason to sound the alarms. At this point in the season, man, stage points don't really mean anything. So I think Clayton is doing exactly what he needs to do. He's just going to sit back there, follow Paget, and then just kind of let that long run setup rear its head.
Well, that's the thing I'm seeing right now, though, is with Clayton, I just don't see a long run car. I mean, it's just in that first stage. I think Paget clearly drove up there and took it from him. I don't think Clayton would just give that position up.
Well, I think Clayton's doing exactly what he needs to do. I mean, he's a champion, and so I don't think he's throwing his strategy out the window, if you will. I think they're just kind of rolling with it, and I think you're definitely going to see his car come alive, especially once we go into that third stage where drivers are going to have to, like you said, run out the majority of that 75% fuel tank. So once that fuel tank gets a little bit lighter there, and I think, you know, you said it exactly right, they're going to split that somewhere right in the middle there with about 45 laps for each run. Now we're just 10 laps to go here in this stage, and everybody's really just, you know, you're just trying to kind of get a good feeling of where the car's at. And for those of you that got it figured out, kudos. For those drivers that don't have it figured out yet, well, it's going to be a long race.
Yeah, especially if you're at a championship 4 and you don't have it figured out. I mean, I'm looking at guys like DeCiani and Jeffrey Souza just not looking as good as they should. And I don't know if you heard earlier, but, you know, Matt DeCiani missing his box on pit road. You know, that's not something the champion needs to be doing in this final race.
I know, but if he's given it, and, you know, that's why those stage breaks come in. They give you a whole nother lease on life. So as long as he can actually, you know, get back up. It's not about getting punched in the chin. It's about how you take it. So as long as he doesn't let it knock him on his butt and he can actually just get back in there, regroup, shake it off, you know, he'll still be alive here. This stage is coming to an end. That's the cool thing about stage racing. You know, you just get back in there. You got another shot to come back into your pit box, and nobody's going to judge you on it. And you better be taking copious notes, Brian, because unfortunately, the next time you pit, it's going to be for all of the dough.
Yeah, I mean, and even stage 2's, you know, yellow flag pit stop is pretty important, because if you lose that track position, you're going to be hating that, because I feel like that's what's been so valuable here so far here tonight. It's been the track position.
And all Clayton's doing, he's just running around the track, man. He's chilling. I mean, pardon the expression, but that's exactly what he's doing. He knows how fast this car is. He doesn't have to show his hand. But I'm going to tell you what, once you get on the back side of that next stage, be looking for a different 92.
Yeah, so you think he's just he's not giving his cards out yet or showing anybody what he's got. And, you know, he's got something up his sleeve, it sounds like. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I can't wait to see his grand unveiling.
Yeah, he's just chilling, man, right now. I think he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Let Mark Paget win the stages. I mean, really, does it really matter?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it'll help out Paget in the Cup Series, but when the Super Cup Series, it does not matter in the slightest.
For the Nice Championship, it matters none the least.
Got some heavy racing here. The 7 starting.
Yeah, Matt DeCiani now being chased by the 7 of Wayne Grassi and Greg Wachinski right there in the middle of this. You know, as we're bringing this down, there'll be 3 laps left in this stage. This is where the racing is at. So Grassi definitely getting a little bit impatient, but he is behind the one of DeCiani. He's not really pushing him too hard, and I think that's exactly what he needs. But if you look right there in the front of that fray, you'll see the 14 of Jeffrey Souza, and he's probably enjoying the fact that he has a little bit more breathing room than the one does at this point in the race.
Yeah, he does have some breathing room, but only one person can be a champion, and that the best person right now, or the two best people I'd say that are kind of in the best positions, are Mark Pageant and Clayton Hoffman. Like I said before, you do not want to start behind the 8 ball. You do not want to be sitting back in 5th. You know, you're going to have to pass 4 other cars in order to get up to the lead, and that is not going to be an easy undertaking in the slightest. And then, like I mentioned before, Big Al, I kind of mentioned it before, being side by side at this place, if you have to try to work your way through the pack, if you have to try to pass people and being side by side with them, that is going to slow you both down, and that leader is just going to start driving away even more. So, you know, that's something that you're going to have to really watch out for if you're these drivers. And it looks like Jeffrey Souza is bringing it down pit road, I do believe. What is he doing?
He's short pitting the stage is what he's probably going to do.
I thought he was going down pit road, but he, like, went way down onto the apron. I've never seen anybody take that line like that.
Well, I tell you, everything behind him is sheer chaos. So one thing that he is doing is probably trying to figure out how is he going to get some separation between himself and those guys behind him. Matt DeCiani, though, right there, and he's doing everything he can to keep the 2 cars behind him at bay. As you see the 7 of Wayne Grossi getting a little bit impatient there, as this stage is so shortly going to be coming to an end. That next stage, though, that is going to be the key. Track position, that's going to be the key. Watch and see how these drivers come down pit road. You're going to take 4 tires, you're going to take 2 tires. But they got to get up there, and they got to get on the back end. As stage 2 is in the books. Mark Pageant goes back-to-back. He is your stage 2 winner with Clayton Hoffman in 2nd, Derek Heitman 3rd. Jeffrey Souza comes in 4th with Wayne Grossi in 5th. Matt DeCiani in 6th. Greg Wachinski 7th. Kenny Powell in 8th. Randy Drumhiller in 9th. And Andrew Layton rounds out those top 10 points paying positions. With that, in stage 2 in the books, we're going to take a brief step away, get away from our sponsors, and we'll be back with, well, somebody.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe Big Al has a decision to make. Who are we talking to, Big Al?
Derek Height.
All righty, we'll bring him in.
Hey, Derek, this is Big Al up at the broadcast booth. You got me?
Handsome.
Hey, man, so what's your strategy here tonight, man? I know there's a lot of guys out there battling for a championship. You might not be one of those guys, but you are still in it for the Cup race. So, I mean, you definitely want to win this race. You got a fast car. How far are you planning on pushing it?
Same story every week, Al. I'm just going to go ahead and run my pace. I'm going to see where I wind up, pit strategy-wise. I might try to match the guys ahead of me. Or I might try to undercut them 1 lap. I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet, but other than that, it's literally just run your pace. It's all about saving the tires. The tire fall off here is horrendous on your right front. I think that at least one of the 2 guys in front of me is running a little too hard, and I might have something for at least one of them.
You got to go back to work, man. I'm going to let you go. We'll holler back at you. Good luck to you.
Appreciate it, Al.
Yeah, definitely cutting it awful close there. he just wanted to keep on talking. But he was giving us some great information. We're going to talk to him during the whole race. Here we go, though. Green flag is back out. Look at Pageant goes way early. Wayne Grossi going to dive on the inside, verging on even almost 3 wide here. And I'm looking at this here, Big Al. Jeffrey Souza is back in 8th here, so I think he lost some positions there on pit road.
No need to panic, though. This is the time where this is where you just kind of got to fall in the line. You don't want to get too far back, but you don't want to be out there in a position where you're going to burn yourself up, because you want to be fast in this situation. Like Heitman was saying, big issue out there is tire wear. And you know this. We've been here long enough this week where you understand that the detriment of your whole run is going to be that right front tire. So you got to be conservative.
Yeah, definitely. That's 100% for sure. I think a lot of guys do have that in mind. Maybe some other guys don't. We'll have to wait and see how this works out. This is when the race has truly begun. As we mentioned before, green flag pit stops are going to be a requirement here unless we do have a caution that splits it up. Of course, the fuel window is 65 laps, as we mentioned before.
Yeah, and you don't want to be that guy. Nobody wants to be the one to bring the caution out. So right now, it's really a game to follow the leader. And those guys that are in the playoffs, their whole point is going to be just to be smart, Brian. Because if you're not available when it comes 10 to go, you won't even have a charge to make, so that's what everybody's got to be smart enough to figure out.
%. Taking a look through the gyro camera here, or gyro camera, I should say, for Jeffrey Souza. You saw him holding off Kenny Powell. What a great camera this is. It kind of shows the banking on this racetrack. There is substantial banking for I'd say a short track, but still quite low. And that is what causes a lot of the guys to have some conditions and to burn those tires up too, because, I mean, you really have to, you can't slide them, and it's very easy to do at a track that doesn't have a lot of banking.
Yeah, I mean, it has enough banking. This is one of those driver's tracks. We talk about that all of the time, where it's not just about you being able to come out here and, anybody can be fast when they're out there by themselves, but you got to come out here and figure out a race pace. And that's the key. You got to be able to be consistently fast. And the driver that can pull that off is going to be the best one. Now, we're seeing that Clayton Hoffman is kind of hanging back here behind Mark Paget. Now, but here's the thing. This is the championship race. So the best thing that I can see happening from this is at least you're in for a show.
We're definitely going to be in for a show. And I'm wondering how the dirty air is going to impact Clayton Hoffman. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I'm sure he's been making adjustments on that race car. Very technical mind of that 92. He's going to be messing with stuff. He's going to be adjusting on things as this race goes on, and brake bias could be one that everybody could probably be using adjustment on, just considering and also we haven't really discussed the track temperature out there and what the track is looking like.
Track temperature right now is going to be 97 degrees. The outside ambient air temperature is going to be coming in at 85 degrees. Winds out of the southeast at 7 miles an hour, and that's fluctuating from 7 to 9. So these drivers right now, they are used to that track temp. This is nice in the middle of the afternoon. The track is going to do what it's going to do. The big thing right now, though, is what is the driver going to do? Are you going to be able to be in it for the long haul? As you see, Clayton Hoffman is slowly closing that gap right now between he and Mark Paget.
Yeah, Pageant's got to be getting a little bit worried here, but I think Pageant also knows that, hey, I got to slow it down a little bit too. I got to kind of make my own pace here and not burn my equipment up and not let Clayton get me into that trap. Because, a lot of times, you see a guy like Clayton behind you, he's probably trying to push you to go faster, so you will burn your equipment up. So don't fall into that trap,
Yeah, I'm going to say it. Clayton's a shark. And when that shark smells blood in the water, that's what he's doing. In Paget's, bless his heart, he's giving it everything he's got. He's in there and he's like making that car like as wide. And then you look back at Clayton and it's just like he's back there eating ice cream. I mean, and that's the best analogy I can use because, I mean, this guy is a beast. Now, Paget, definitely has got to, I mean, hats off to him because he is doing what it takes, man. He is leading the field right now. But, you know, he's definitely feeling the pressure of that 92 there in his rearview mirror. Make no mistakes about that. You know, it's as much as it looks easy, it's not easy. I mean, this is a very stressful situation, you know, and even though these guys are sitting in the comfort of their own home, some are in rigs, some are in desk chairs. I mean, that part, yeah, but the real part is the stress. They're all feeling it the same way. You know what I mean? You got to bring it. It takes a lot out of you. This is not easy.
Yeah, this just in. I just noticed looking at the standings here. Darren Mullins, Al Kozlowski, and Derek Jacobs all have parked their race cars. Definitely unfortunate to see that for sure.
Well, you know, you kind of understand that. You don't want to be the person who's out there that's kind of the cause of the significant emotional event for any one of these guys that are in it to win it here tonight. Now, this is a chance that everybody gets to come out here and then run. And the big thing that we're watching right now is how these guys are going to split this on either side of that pit window. They're going to be trying to get about 45 laps in on the front side, 45 laps in the back side. That's just a little bit over what they've already experienced with those first two stages. But that also lets them know about how hard they're going to be able to push it. You know, the two now, as we're just halfway through this thing, he is starting to feel the pressure of maybe that 92 back there. He's kind of stepped it out a little bit now, so he's running a little bit faster. Got a little bit more of a gap between him and the 92, and I think he's going to be prepared to try to defend that position at all costs.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. I expect no less from Mark Pageant. I mean, Pageant has been having a phenomenal career. If Clayton Hoffman's in the or not in the lead, usually Mark Pageant is. So, I mean, I expect a lot from that 0-2. He has definitely been just having a fantastic season. Even if it doesn't win the championship, he deserves to be here. He is one of the top guys in this series. Definitely very easily one of the top guys.
Yeah, but nobody wants an honorable mention. I mean, these guys, this is championship or bust, man. You know, the number 2 guy gets interviewed by Big Al. That's all you get, and you don't even get that. You know, if you're number 2 in the overall, you know, if you're number 2 in the race tonight, I'll talk to you. But we want to see who's going to be number 1 in the championship, and that's what everybody's got to be focusing on.
I've been liking the speed I'm seeing out of Matt DeCiani. I mean, he's running some pretty good laps. He's been right there on Derek Heitman's rear end there. We saw Heitman earlier, looked a lot better in the first 2 stages. Maybe it's also the saving. I mean, we're 19 laps into this stage now, or not into this stage, but into this run. Of course, like we said before, the fuel run is about 65. I would expect in probably the next 25 to 30 laps, that's when green flag pit stops will be in the thought process.
Yeah, but, you know, here's the problem that DeCiani's facing. The more he stays behind Heitman, the further Paget and Hoffman get away from him. If he even wants any chance whatsoever, he can't be banking on a caution. He's got to get up there and get into the mix of this thing, man. He's got to throw his hat in the ring. It's go time for him because right now the gap between the 2 and the 92, they're so far out ahead of him that if he...
Some problems back here, Big Al. Sorry to interrupt you. The 14 and the 24 get together. Keep going, though, Big Al. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, now, he's just got to close that gap. He's got to – you can't let those guys get a huge run on you like that as you see the 88 of Kozlowski now coming back onto the race surface. So it'll be sooner than later that these guys will be starting to run up into lap traffic. But I think for Matt DeCiani, if him and Jeffrey Souza, if ever they felt pressure, that pressure's now. As Souza is now being passed by the 24 Kenny Powell. Powell now taking himself up and putting himself in 6th place here tonight.
Yeah, it shows that Kenny Powell definitely does not mind racing against a Final Four contestant here. And
well,
I like that. You got to race him.
You got to race them. I mean, that's the key. You can't just sit back and let, we called a race last night that had 4 guys running, but 27 guys on the track, so that's just a part of it, man. It's just like the referee's a part of the football field. These other guys are just as much a part of this race as the Final Four.
100%. And also that a lot of other leagues don't have this feature that the ISCA does, to where no matter if we're in the Super Cup season or whatever, we're still going to have a Cup season. So there's still points on the line, and Kenny Powell's racing for those points as we speak. So, I mean, you can't really blame him. And, despite what if Souza it might be a little upset about it, I mean, I can understand that. But, mistakes on pit road put him in that position.
And that's why we call it racing.
Right.
Otherwise it's just traffic. Ain't nobody got time for that.
And we'll want to watch traffic. Put traffic on TV and watch it.
Yeah, exactly. So this is racing, and these guys are racing for the marbles. And even though these trophies are, small and the racing is simulated, I mean, the feeling is as real as you're gonna get. Losing sucks and winning feels awesome. That's not simulated.
100%. And it's definitely a big achievement to get an ISCA championship too. I mean, because that is a very much sought after trophy. I mean, it really is, just considering the level of talent that graces the track in the ISCA.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is no small feat for any of these drivers. It's an awesome league, awesome group of individuals. Right now, Mark Padgett's probably living his best life as he's extended his lead out to about 1.4 seconds over Clayton Hoffman. But the thing that he's got to do is he's still got to keep his eye on the prize, because he understands that it's about getting those laps in, and each lap has to still be as perfect as the lap before it if you want to be able to make this work. Couple of bad laps is going to change the entire scenario. And the next thing is you're halfway to that green flag pit stop. So you got to start thinking about that, figuring out how you're gonna get your speed down to where it needs to be, get your pace to where it needs to be going down the pit road, getting in there, getting in the box perfect, and getting back out. Try not to lose too much position.
Yeah, that's definitely very important. We're now 28 laps into this run. So we're entering that kind of unknown territory in a lot of ways with how long, these guys have had on their tires. Once we cross that 30 mark, these guys, oh, look at that. Andrew Griesbaum getting really loose on the dog leg. One of the dangers of going down there.
Yeah, some of these guys have been running, their lanes. And some of these guys have put in a lot of laps. Some of these guys haven't. So as we get ready to start turning laps 34, laps 35, some of these guys are going to be in positions they haven't been in. So they're going to be finding out different stuff about their car. I would not be surprised if some of these drivers even drove it a little bit further past the halfway point of the stage, just so they can go faster for a shorter period of time, Brian.
Yeah, definitely could be. I mean, especially if your car's not handling well. I mean, I think Andrew Griesbaum definitely falls into that category. Car not handling very well. And sad to see it, because Griesbaum was one of the ones that was in the running. I do believe he is in the running for Saturday, or was in the running, I should say, for Saturday. What were you saying there, Big Al?
Oh, but why are you saying that Griesbaum's not doing well?
He's getting loose, tight. He's having all kinds of handling conditions right now. That's what I'm saying. Like, guys like that are going to.
This is interesting. The 14 of Jeffrey Souza down pit road right now. So looking at that with 63 laps to go, I mean, he is really taking the short end of the pit strategy. So maybe that's letting you know that his car is going to be set up for the long run. Now, I'm just interested in seeing how this all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, if he can hold a position on the longer run, then, it could be a valid strategy. We'll have to wait and see as his right sides go up. He's going to be taking, I do believe, all 4 tires. Yep, there it is. Left side's up, too. Of course, Mark Padgett is on the same team as Jeffrey Souza, but it looks like they are not on the same kind of pit strategy. I think Souza kind of did that probably as a little bit of an act of desperation, I'd say.
Well, I don't know, but it's going to play out one way or another. Either it's going to work out in his favor or it's not. So right now, the only person that's going to be in charge of his fate is going to be him as he puts himself on 4 fresh Goodyears and he has enough fuel now to make it to the end of this thing. So maybe if he's got that pit strategy, if he's got it set up that way, I mean, maybe we could have just seen the championship move here, Brian.
Yeah, could very well be the case. Taking a look through Mark Pageant's cockpit camera here. We got our little bit of a quick driver, details there on the side. You can kind of see what speeds he's getting down to here. About 100 mile an hour is the lowest he gets in the corner. It looks like he's very smooth on his wheel, and that's what this track really requires.
Susan now on the run. He is cutting through traffic like a knife through hot butter, or a hot knife through butter. How does that even work, man? Does the knife have to be heated to cut through the butter, or does the butter need to be heated for the knife to cut through it? I don't know. We're going to have to figure this one out. Souza is on the move.
Here we are with Big Al's thoughts. The thoughts that he has.
Oh, sorry. Was having that conversation out loud? Man.
Oh, you said that? Did I say that out loud? Yeah.
Yeah, I even hit the push to talk. So, yeah, welcome to my world, people.
Looking at lap times here for Jeffrey Souza. Of course, he went 1 lap down, but he is over a second faster than the rest of the field.
Yeah, and he'll get that lap back. I mean, no matter what happens, even if there is a caution, he'll just have to stay out. So no matter what, he'll get it back. The question is, how much ground is he going to be able to make up having to run 60 laps here? Because the leader, I mean, these guys are probably still at least maybe another 8 laps or so before I think they'll start their green flag pit stops. But right now, Souza is doing what he has to do to try to win this thing.
We are now 38 laps into this run, and these guys have fallen off to 29.3, 29.4. As definitely closing in on that time when I think that a lot of guys are going to have pit road on the mind.
I mean, it's almost 2 seconds off of their time there as the 84 of Andrew Layton comes down pit road. So definitely green flag pit stops are completely now in cycle.
Just depends on really when I think the 2 leaders pit here. Does Clayton Hoffman try to short pit?
But look at that fall off, though, Brian. Isn't that incredible?
It's a lot of it. I mean, it's 2 seconds of fall off. I mean, it is substantial. I think that's the most fall off we've seen all week. I mean, I've covered a couple races here at Phoenix in in different cars, and it has not been this much fall off.
That is wow, that's tremendous. Maybe you think because the track's so hot.
I mean, it could be. I mean, Phoenix is definitely known to be a hot track. Of course, we are somewhat getting into the fall now. But 97 degrees is not cool. I don't know. I can't recall what the other track temps were for the races we called here this week.
I think it was around 94 degrees. I'm just trying to figure it out because there's something going on that's causing these guys to slow down so much, man. It's the 14 of Jeffrey Souza still rolling through the field. He's now passing the one of Matt DeCiani. He is so close to getting his lap back now. Just got to catch up to a couple more cars, and then he'll be right back on the lead lap.
Yeah, I mean, he's right there behind Derek Heitman, who's in 3rd place. So, yeah, and you can even see Clayton through Jeffrey's eyes as he sails it in, and just look at how much faster he is. But the only thing is that the shoe's going to be on the other foot later, though, Big Al.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. But, I mean, you got to go when you got to go, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and you got to keep in mind, too, like, if a caution comes out, and, of course, Souza, even if he's a lap down, he's going to get a lucky dog. And the thing is, he still can go down pit road. These guys have 5 sets of tires down in the pits. I mean,
plenty of tires.
Yeah, plenty of tires.
Yeah, heck yeah. Why run on old tires when you can get fresh tires?
Yeah, so I mean, I assumed that if we did have cautions, everyone would be coming down, no matter how many tire or laps they have on them, unless they're trying to make a big gamble for track position. That's the only way I can see it.
He's getting ready to unlap himself. He just passed Clayton Hoffman. Now he's reeling into 2 of Mark Paget. So, yeah, he's still good to go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think he will be the leader whenever everybody pits. He will be. I have no doubts that Jeffrey Sousa is going to be the leader. But the only thing about it,
Clayton Hoffman down pit road.
The short pit, definitely like this. This could be a good call. Let's see how good he is on pit road.
You know, and he hadn't really dominated like we were expecting to see him dominate here. Sousa has effectively unlapped himself now. I think it'll just be a matter of time before you see the 2 of Mark Paget.
Oh, no! Clayton Hoffman slides through his box, loses a second, having to kick it in reverse. No. That could be what could be effectively the death nail.
Yeah, I felt like you said bad dog, and I just was like,
I'm sorry, was I not understandable there?
Well, you were, yeah. It was just I was freezing, looking to see who did what, because I knew somebody was getting ready to get scolded. But
we were watching it, Clayton Hoffman, you know, seeing him go through his box like that. I mean, even though it doesn't look like much, that's huge.
Oh yeah, it is huge.
Here comes Mark Paget. I do believe he's going to be bringing it down pit road. Oh, he cuts it close.
Later pit road.
And this is about the time I suspected. I mean, 47. I mean, Clayton pitted on 45.
Yeah, you expect these guys to kind of cut it as close down the middle as possible. But then you look at the fall off, and that's just huge. So now they're going to have to go back out there, and they're going to have to manage that as well, because you know that towards the end of this thing, barring some kind of foreign caution, that your car is going to really be handling like crap, and you're going to be a lot slower than you are. So do you go back out there and run hard and fast, or you go out there and run smart and conserve?
Well, I think if you're Mark Paget, you definitely can kind of run a little bit easier, just, you know, because you know that effectively once you catch up to Sousa and get past him, you're going to be the leader. But, I mean, then again, I mean, Heitman waiting a little bit longer. I like these calls that these guys wait a little bit longer. This place is heavy on the tires. So if you wait to go down, you're going to have newer tires than those other guys. So, I mean, you could make it up forward and maybe make it up to those guys. I just don't see it. Mark Paget has been an absolutely dominating force here so far tonight. And I haven't seen a mistake from him yet.
Yeah, Paget definitely bought his A game when he needed it most. So I totally agree with you on that. That's why it's going to be interesting to see what Clayton Hoffman has up his sleeve, because we know Hoffman is always going to be a force to be reckoned with as well. Now, another driver that's in that playoff kind of conversation that we're talking about, that's the 14 of Sousa. Sousa really kind of took us by surprise when he actually short pitted the stage like he did, which right now Sousa's having already some 4 laps on his tires, which that's going to be the deficit between him and the other playoff contenders.
Look at this, though. Mark Paget slicing and dicing his way past Derek Heitman. He takes his lap back. I mean, we saw how long it took Sousa to get his lap back. It didn't take Mark Paget not even a couple turns, it seemed like.
Yeah, but now I think you're going to have to deal with the 92 of Hoffman. I think Hoffman is going to be, he's in championship form now. He is going to be coming, and you're going to have to deal with that beast one way or another. It is what it is. It's kind of like for all of you people that used to watch, what was that show? Winter's Coming. I don't know the name of the show, but you understand the phrase.
Oh, my Lord. You're talking about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and that's what this is. This is a Game of Thrones, if you think about it, because tonight we're crowning the thing champion. The house, either it's going to be the house of Hoffman, the house of DeCiani, the house of Paget, or the house of Sousa. But one of these houses tonight is going to be crowned the champion.
Man, I tell you what, I could die right now because I have seen everything. Big Al's making Game of Thrones references in the ISCA.
Why is that bad?
No, it's not bad. It's just incredibly funny.
Winter's coming, or winter is coming, I guess you'd say.
Well, if this is a Game of Thrones, I'll tell you what. I hope the other three don't get their heads chopped off, because that's usually what happens in that show.
I mean, I'm just saying, it really does kind of feel that way, though. You're going to get lopped off if you come up short, because it's all going to come down to the pit strategy, the pit sequence, and just your setup here tonight. The whole season comes down to the night setup. Think about that. As Matt DeCiani now is down on pit road.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of guys that have already pitted getting around Derek Heitman here. He's probably going to be coming down any time, just seeing all these drivers driving right around him. No, he stays out one more time. He is now on 55 lap old tires. The only other person that has that much laps on their tires is Mark Sanchez. And as we mentioned, as soon as Heitman goes down pit road, Jeffrey Souza is going to be the leader. But for how long will he be the leader? That's going to be the question here. Looking at it, I do believe about 4 seconds, maybe a little bit more than that. Not a lot of time that really separates Pageant and Souza right now.
But it's coming down to be the championship four are all going to be right where they need to be in sequence. Because right now we're going to be watching DeCiani. We're going to see how fast he goes through the field and how much of his tires he saves, because he's still going to be at the shortest run with about 38 laps at the end of this thing.
Yeah, DeCiani, of course, back here, I do believe, in 11th position, trying to catch up here to Andrew Griesbaum, which Griesbaum, I do believe, is one that pitted about 8 laps ago.
Yeah, so you got DeCiani, who's just coming out, right? And then you look and you got Jeffrey Souza, who's already got 25 laps on his tires. It just kind of makes the whole thing a little bit crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, that it does. But, of course, we have 36 laps to go here, I do believe, next time by. So time is running out. Of course, these guys are still – I bet a lot of the tires feel pretty good. Life's still in them. Souza, though, on the other hand, at some point soon is going to start to get to that point. I mean, he's now 27 laps into this run. I mean, he is definitely going to be starting to hurt now. I mean, looking at his lap times, 28.997. I mean, he's almost 29-second laps right now.
Yeah, he's in the hurt locker. I mean, and he knew this was coming. Nobody's helping him out, though. If somebody doesn't just go down there and, just take a poo-poo in one of the turns, he's going to be even more in more pain. So it's kind of crazy how it's all coming down to this. But I think right now you're just kind of watching to see how the cars are going to take the drivers out of the championship.
Clayton Hoffman, he's back here in 5th place, getting around Mark Sanchez, going to be putting himself up into 4th. But, of course, he is separated from Mark Pageant by, I do believe, 5 seconds.
Yeah,
he has got a lot of work to make up, and that just shows you how much that mistake on pit road hurt him. I mean, we've seen, DeCiani make a mistake on pit road earlier in the race during one of the stage cautions, but you can't make a mistake under green flag. You cannot.
Man, how's this? Do you take anything for anxiety?
Why do you ask that?
Well, because I do, and I should have doubled up today because I was not expecting it to come out like it is right now. We got a lot of stuff going on, ladies and gentlemen. This is shaking and baking and shaping up to be quite a run for the championship here. A series that Clayton Hoffman pretty much dominated, had his way with right now. He is literally going to be fighting to keep his name up there in the gallows as the two of Mark Pageant makes his way around Jeffrey Souza. That's going to put him right back up there on that lead train, as now he's just got to chase down to 76 of Heitman. And Heitman with 61 laps on his equipment, he is right there at the high end of what you could actually get done on a full tank of gas. So I'm just sitting back and I'm looking at this and I'm saying, wow, giggity, right?
you say so, buddy. But yeah, he is definitely in the long part of this run. I mean, he's almost out of gas. He's almost hitting 30-second laps, if that tells you anything. I mean, that's like, I do believe, almost 2.5 seconds of fall off. I mean, that is insanity.
But I'm saying that as soon as he pits, man, Mark Padgett comes back up. He's your leader again. And, I mean, look at Mark go. That's pretty much what I'm saying.
He made it right around Souza without any muss or fuss. Kind of thought that would be a little bit bigger of a battle, but yeah, Padgett he's in the prime position right now. But you got to keep in mind with racing, anything can go wrong, and you never can count out something. The racing god's throwing some type of curveball your way.
Yeah, 30 laps to go. He is just going to be hoping that the racing gods just keep throwing him meatballs, because right now everything's been lining up his favor. And so as long as it continues to do that, man, that's a heck of a story he's going to have to tell here tonight.
%, as we're looking on board here with Clayton Hoffman as we watch him try to catch up here to Jeffrey Souza, who is in 3rd place.
Can we get his telemetry?
It's giving me a little bit of a fit right now. There it is. There it is. Clayton Hoffman up there. You can see that definitely has been running some good laps. Really thought he was going to come in here and dominate this thing, just considering based off of what we saw in practice. I mean, he was a 10th faster. And when he qualified, I mean, he was like 2/10 faster than the rest of the field. But that just goes to show you that you cannot go based on, or you can't make, draw conclusions based on just qualifying times and practice times.
No, that's why it's called a race, not a qualification.
See it right on your screen. 5.6 seconds between these two drivers. Of course, talking about behind Mark Padgett, he is about a little under a second away from Jeffrey Souza and catching up very, very quickly.
Yeah, Souza's definitely going to be slowing way down because, he's already got 36 laps. So he is already the equivalent to the longest run that they've done. As the 76 of Heitman, as well as the 31 of Sanchez down pit road.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Derek waited this long. I mean, he kind of talked about it in his interview. He mentioned that he was going to kind of follow his own way, and he might follow those guys down or he might not. Well, looks like he didn't. And definitely got some laps led, though, so going to be a good, I do believe, some extra points there for that. While we have a little bit of a lull in the action, we'll take a step away, pay some more attention to our sponsors, and we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel tough, bro. We get a hug. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, Derek Heitman has taken his green flag stop, is now 1 lap down, and is driving his way back through the field to try to unlap himself. It's going to be a tall task to even try to get positions here. I do believe he's going to be having the deck stacked against him a little bit here. Definitely a great run, though, I got to say, for Kenny Powell, sitting right up there in 3rd place. He's not far from Clayton Hoffman, which is kind of interesting here. I mean, in looking at lap times, I do believe Kenny's actually faster than Clayton. Could Kenny even take away 2nd? So we have now less than 20 to go here in this race, and we're going to be crowning a champion. Want to give a big shout out to all of our partners, TLC, of course, the UXO who's partnered with those guys, and also ButtKicker for sponsoring the race tonight.
Yeah,
Mark
definitely
Pageant.
not.
Go ahead.
Definitely not what we were expecting to see kind of unfold here as the 14 of Souza gets really loose as DeCiani is now trying to make his move around him.
Yeah, I think Souza's probably kicking himself for going down that early, you know. But it might have just been out of necessity. I mean, I think the car just wasn't handling right, and now he's at that point again where it's not handling right again.
Yeah, I mean, he's right there about the time that the longest period of time that anybody ran, with the exception of Heitman. But honestly, I don't think Souza has the setup that Heitman does. He definitely looks to be hurting right now.
Well, that's what's crazy about it, though, Big Al, is Mark Pageant and Jeffrey Souza are on the same team. You would think they'd be running something very, very similar. But it looks like Pageant's just able to do something, you know, I don't know. Maybe he has something different there. I don't know.
Well, just because you're on the same team doesn't mean you're running the same setup and doesn't mean you have the same driving style.
Yeah, I know with a lot of these teams, you have a lot of setups to choose from. So, I mean, possibly, you know, Mark Pageant picked the one that suited him and is suiting him in this race also, as we still see Kenny Powell closing in on Clayton Hoffman. Who would have thought we'd see this? Not to throw any disrespect to Kenny Powell, but Hoffman is not what we have seen all season tonight right now.
Yeah,
this is shocking.
He's definitely not feeling himself tonight. And Mark Pageant, though, he is sowing his royal oats, as he has definitely got his thing pointed in the wind, and he is headed off into that Arizona sunset, chasing himself a championship here, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I mean, Pageant, of course, every time, I've mentioned it before about how every time Clayton is not in the lead, it's usually Pageant who's out front and winning, you know. But I kind of thought Pageant was a little bit of an underdog coming into this thing compared to Clayton. I thought Clayton was, you know, he would have been the sure thing bet. If you were betting on this race, Clayton would be the one you'd bet on, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or as you say, 100%.
My question is, can Kenny Powell catch up here? Is where I do believe verging on 13 laps to go. So the clock is ticking. I mean, a caution, I think that's Clayton needs a caution right now. DeCiani needs a caution. Souza 100% needs a caution.
Yeah, I think Powell kind of maybe ran himself out a little bit. I think he is probably at the he's on the downslope of the performance of his tires and equipment.
Yeah, he is. I'd say that's true. I mean, he's pretty close in lap time to Clayton, but just a little off now. He was catching him quite quickly there for a second, but I think that he fell victim to that, you know, my little catchphrase. He fell victim to that carrot on stick mentality.
Yeah, but he had a Clayton on a stick.
Yeah, I mean, who don't want to catch Clayton? I mean, that's something you brag about around the water cooler. Hey, I beat Clayton Hoffman. I'll tell you what, the fastest car all night long has been definitely Mark Pageant. He has not slouched. He was not the fastest in qualifying, but he definitely is looking like he's going to pull the hat trick here as we're verging on 10 laps to go.
Man, unless there's some paid performer out here is going to throw it for a cash app for a caution.
I mean, we just saw, I do believe, a couple drivers going to lap down Andrew Layton, Andrew Griesbaum.
I mean, 10 laps to go here in the Mark Paget Championship Performance Clinic.
Yeah, he is definitely putting on quite the performance here. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, definitely going to have a proud team to celebrate this if he's able to do it. I mean, it's not over yet, but right now he is in prime position. I mean, he is so far out right now. I mean, almost 7 seconds on Clayton Hoffman right now. I mean, Clayton could be running 0.2 of a lap faster, and I don't think he even would have a chance still.
Yeah, the one thing he doesn't want to see is a caution. I mean, if a caution were to come out right now, I think you'd probably have to finish this race by yourself.
But yeah, look at this, though. Very impressed with what I'm seeing from Greg Wachinski running in 5th place. I mean, not a bad night for him. I was kind of doubting him a little bit earlier. It didn't seem like he had a lot of pace, but it seems like he's got a good long-run car underneath him. Definitely glad to see him up here in the top 5. Definitely going to be some good points there for the Cup Series.
But what about Mark Paget? I mean, what about Mark Paget? I mean, he came here tonight, and I'm telling you, there's 8 laps to go. If the caution were to come out right now, I mean, I do believe they'd start sacrificing animals, something. I'm not going to just say, but you could use your own brains for that. But, I mean, this guy came out here tonight, and he did everything that he needed to do, Brian, in order to solidify a championship. And he has done it in championship form.
Yeah, he definitely has. I mean, he has put on a clinic here so far and has had it, like I said, I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's had a phenomenal season. I mean, he has been just on the money, taking advantage, getting top 5 after top 5. I mean, even looking at the Cup Series stats, I do believe we've had 5 races. He's got 5 top 5s and a win. So, I mean, it's no surprise it shouldn't be. But when you're going against a guy like Clayton Hoffman, that usually he does not have a bad day. Like, Clayton will come out here, and no matter what, he's going to have a really good day. And this is a good day, but it's not good enough. Second is not good enough, especially when you got Mark Paget in the lead.
Yeah, with 5 to go, though, I'm still watching the analytics. I'm watching every car go around this track because, there's 12 cars, there's 4 corners. I'm just looking at the probability of cautions, man. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, even looking at the lap times here, Clayton Hoffman, 29.7 last time by versus Mark Paget, 29.4. So, I mean, Paget is just, he just out-prepared everybody here tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be great. So as long as this thing continues to go green. 4 laps to go. Everybody's got to hold their mouths the right way, and you got to keep your feet pointed in the right direction as well, guys. And then take your left thumb and just kind of lick it and hold it up in the air as well so you can figure out where the wind's coming, because Mark Paget is going to be 3 to go here at the line, and he needs to do that just 2 more times here in order to get that white flag, Brian.
Yeah, for sure. Once the white flag comes out, I'd say that Paget's going to breathe a sigh of relief, because there's no way he can mess up that final lap. I mean, I just don't. He could drive at his leisure right now. He has over 8 seconds. He's steadily pulling away, still running the fastest times on the racetrack. I mean, just in flag.
Wow.
The final lap, Mark Paget. He is going to do it. He is going to bring home a championship. He had doubters. He had even us doubting him. Could he do it? He had Big Al definitely doubting him. He's like, Clayton's going to turn it on. He's going to turn it on. But
wow,
he never did.
Way to throw Big Al under the bus. I mean, I didn't say anything, but like, wow.
I'm gonna play this back to you.
You're just going to play it back because you love hearing my voice, because Big Al is the best commentator ever. But way to go, Mark Paget. for solidifying the championship here in season 22, season 4. So he has definitely got to be feeling pretty good about himself as he brings that number 2 Chevrolet all the way over into a duel of victory circle here tonight. Clayton Hoffman is going to be coming in second, Kenny Powell in third, Matt DeCiani coming in fourth with Greg Wachinski in fifth. Derek Heitman comes in sixth, Randy Drumhiller seventh, Jeffrey Souza in eighth, Wayne Grossi ninth, and Andrew Layton rounds out your top 10.
11th place is going to be Andrew Griesbaum. 12th place, Mark Sanchez. 13th place, Paul Olson. 14th place, Al Kozlowski. 15th, Darren Mullins. And rounding out our 16-car field here is Derek Jacobs, who I do believe missed the start. But we'll go ahead and take a brief step away. We'll be right back with our top 3 and champion.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel tough, bro. We get a hug. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be joined in the booth by our top 3 finishers here tonight. Kenny Powell definitely had a solid run here tonight. Wasn't up in the top 3 much here tonight, but definitely where you were up there when it counted, and it seemed like you definitely had a good long-run car. Tell us about it. I mean, it seemed like you were handling really well.
Yeah, it's once the tires wear, it is kind of hard to pass somebody, and I just didn't qualify up in the front where I hoped to, and so for the first stage, I drove it kind of hard to try to get up there, but in the end didn't pass too many people and ended up burning my tires off and getting passed again. So it was from that point I just took it slow and steady throughout the whole race, and work myself up there. I did feel like I had a longer run car. I just had to stay patient.
I mean, even for a little bit there, you were having even some hints at maybe catching Clayton and taking second. I mean, was that the goal? Did you think you fell victim to the carrot on the stick, or Clayton on a stick, I should say?
Yes and no. It never dawned on me that really I would catch Clayton, and then I did watch the times and saw that I was running faster laps than he was at the time. So I figured if I just kept to it and ran those laps that I would catch him. But the closer I got to him, I don't know if I got, in air, if I ever was ever close enough to him to be in air, or he just, picked it up a little bit. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I feel like I ran a good race. I can be proud of that.
Yeah, definitely. You should be proud of it, man. A third place finish, definitely, gonna be a good finish to kind of send home, I guess, the Super Cup season. But of course, the Cup season is still going on right now, and this is definitely going to be helping you out when it comes to that. So I'm sure you're looking at that for sure. Well, Kansas is coming up, I do believe, next week. I know a lot of people were surprised about that, but how you feeling about that mile and a half?
I love that place, so I look forward to it. I'm excited about going back to it and see what we got.
Well, we definitely look forward to seeing you out there, man. Can we get a shout out to anybody after this third place finish here in the championship race?
Absolutely. Top four, great racing. And I'll shout out ButtKicker first. They're still on board with us. They're sponsoring the Super Cup series. So to the winner will go one of those ButtKickers. So congratulations. I'll go ahead and say congratulations, Mark, for that. And TLC UXO for the sponsorship, and Brian Britt and Alfonso King in the booth. Big Al.
Nixon, Alfonso Nixon.
Nixon. Oh God.
On his birthday, no less. Come on,
Man,
now.
wow,
happy
Kenny.
birthday.
Wow.
I said Big Al. I'll say that again.
Wow. I appreciate that, Kenny Hoffman.
There you go. Touche.
Hey, that's pretty good there. Well, we appreciate your time, Kenny, and we'll see you next week, or see you on Saturday, actually, for that championship race there. But thanks for your time.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Next up, Big Al, excited to talk to Clayton Hoffman.
Hey, Clayton Hoffman, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah.
Man, you came here tonight, man, and we know as soon as you unloaded that thing off the trailer, it was a fast car. All of the marbles on the line here, this race for playoff implications, just couldn't seem to quite get up there to that pony or Paget, man. So what was really going on with that?
I don't really know. I know the setup was I wear a little right rear, but I came in here thinking it would tighten up and be really fast, and instead it was insanely loose. I was just kind of hanging on for dear life, praying I don't overdrive it into one, because if I did, it was just gonna the rear end's just gonna kick out, and I'm just gonna drift. So, yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't make the right adjustments, I guess, to fix it. Everything I did would just make it worse. So I was just babying the car around basically because I couldn't drive it.
You think it was the track temperature or what? Had you had any other issues like that this week?
I mean, early building for the set, it started really loose, but it was in a pretty good spot with full fuel. But I didn't have time to do any real low fuel adjustments here in the session because I joined so late. And yeah, I figured it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it seems like it was. I just die off after about 20 laps.
How many adjustments were you making on that thing through the stages? Or did it just come down to a point where you just figured, I'm just going to hold on to it and try to keep it out of the wall?
I mean, every pit stop I was trying something different. So, yeah, I tried some things. I didn't go full swing, but I made some pretty big swing adjustments at it, and the same thing, or it would happen, or it would just be worse. So I really couldn't drive it any differently. It didn't handle any differently run to run. It would just one run I'd wear my right rear to where I couldn't drive it at all, and the other one I could drive it a little bit.
Man, just so unfortunate. But you know what? You came out here this season and you pretty much dominated the field just on this last race, just coming up a little bit short. But still, it's always a pleasure to watch you, man. You inspire so many as you make it look so easy. So next week we're headed to Kansas, and you'll be right back into the swing of things, still trying to pursue that championship in the other series. So what are you looking forward to doing there?
I mean, Kansas pretty basic oval, I'd say. I mean, with this tire, you still, you go too hard at the beginning of the run with the draft. You're gonna wear up your tires and fall off, and it's gonna be, guys are going to stick up with the front pack for the first, 10, 15, 20 laps. And then, one by one, the slowest person is going to get shuffled to the back and lose the draft.
Well, I tell you what, it's definitely, like I said, a pleasure to watch you, bud. Wishing you the best of luck next week. Congratulations this week for bringing it home in P2. Before we let you go, who you shouting out this week, sir?
I just think Shadow Legacy Esports, Reaper Speed Labs, Champion, Blackstone Management, Green Mountain Grills. Sorry I couldn't, come out here and win it. I just wasn't prepared for what happened, and I wasn't even less prepared for my adjustments, doing basically nothing to fix the car.
Yeah, well, you still look pretty dang good out there for us, man, and look forward to seeing you again next week.
That was Clayton Hoffman, our second place finisher here in tonight's race, in second place, unfortunately, in the championship. You could definitely hear the dejection in his voice as, he does not manage to get that championship trophy. I mean, had such an amazing season. But next up, we have another person that had a great season. Every time Clayton Hoffman wasn't in the lead, usually Mark Pageant was right there. Well, tonight was no different. Mark Pageant, our champion, I mean, you have got to be just on cloud nine right now.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I don't think it's sunk in, to be honest. This is not the way I was expecting tonight to play out. Clayton's been strong all year. Shout out to him, first of all. He was the rabbit to chase. He was the standard every week that he was here. So, Clayton, good job all year. And I can't believe it turned out this way tonight.
Well, it definitely did, man. I mean, once you got out front, you just started driving away. I mean, you had such a tremendous lead, and, you seemed like you knew exactly what you were doing with pit stops. You didn't make any mistakes at all. I mean, how hard was that? Because I know we even saw, I hate to bring this up, but Clayton, we even saw him kind of miss his box and slide through a little bit, had to back up. I mean, how hard was it to avoid doing things like that, especially with how the tires were wearing?
It was difficult. It took a lot of mental focus. There were a few times I would catch my mind wandering. You're scrolling through your black box, looking through your apps, looking to see where everybody else is. I just had to remind myself, don't do any of that. Just hit your marks, drive your race, pit when you want to, and you'll have this thing.
Well, that confidence definitely led you to get it tonight. 118 laps led on the night, so definitely even going to be a good point stay for you in the Cup season standings, of course, also. So, I mean, you're going to be chasing even another championship after that. I mean, you got to be like I said, on cloud nine for the performance you were able to put on here tonight. I mean, definitely I'd not say the underdog, but you definitely were not one we expected to be able to tackle someone like Clayton Hoffman, but you did it. And, definitely you probably won some people some money if they were betting on Clayton tonight.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that there. Coming in tonight, I thought Clayton was the favorite. I really thought me, Matt, and Jeff were racing for second. So, that's a lot of pressure. But I just glad it turned out the way it did. Glad I didn't make any mistakes. There were a couple times I overdrove into 3. Probably saw that on the broadcast, but that was about it.
No, we didn't. Everything we saw from you looked like it was perfect. Well, we weren't watching you a whole lot because just concerned you weren't where the battling was. You were just like, I'll see y'all later, But, definitely a great job. One question I have, though, is I know Jeffrey Souza also was in the championship 4 with you, and you guys are on the same team. How close was y'all's setups to each other?
Probably not that close, actually. Even though we're on the same team, we drive very different. I think Jeff likes a tighter car. I like a looser car. So I think we had 2 different setups. They probably started off the same base back on Saturday, Sunday, Friday night. That's usually when we start working on them. But after that, everyone kind of tweaks their own sets, does their own thing, and gets it dialed in for how they drive.
Well, it definitely seemed like you had yours dialed in here tonight for sure. You were one of the fastest drivers all night by far. I mean, I think you might have even had the fastest lap of the race, if I'm not mistaken. And, of course, on the long run, you were just almost perfect. I mean, man, definitely a great job to you. You know, after this, you got this championship. Do you focus for Kansas, considering the racing never stops here in ISCA?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up because I hadn't even thought about Kansas. All year I was just focused on Super Cup. So yeah, I guess I got 3 or 4 more weeks to focus on that. Um, and we'll see. So usually I run NIS as practice for this. It'll be interesting not running NIS the next few weeks and trying to race in here. So if you see a change, that's it. I won't have as much practice going forward.
All right, man. Well, definitely excellent job. Congratulations. You are the champion for the Super Cup series. And if you're just if you don't know a whole lot about the ISCA, ladies and gentlemen, you will know how big of an accomplishment that is. I mean, the Super Cup season runs from the start of the NASCAR season until the end of the NASCAR season, and so that's like 36 something races that that led to this point. It was a long journey, and when you win this championship, it's got to be just the biggest feeling.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Um, I never dreamed back in February when we started this, I'd end up here. So, I mean, it was great. Thanks to everybody that races in this league. We had a couple wreck fests, but I mean, for the most part, super clean racing all year. I think it's a good league. Kenny does a good job. You and Al do a good job with the broadcast. It was a good experience all year, with some exceptions. There were a couple crazy races, but that's going to be anywhere. So, great job on the league, great job on the broadcast, and never imagined I'd be here at the end of it.
Well, we're glad to have be talking to you, man, and you winning this championship. You shouted us out. Anybody else you want to shout out for this big moment for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's some people I raced all year. Clayton, I already said, it was good racing with him all year. Matt DeCiani, super good racing with him. Jeff Souza, Kenny Powell, Al, in the playoffs. Al really turned it up a notch. I was glad to see that. Fun racing with him. And other than that, thanks to Triad, I wouldn't be here without him. Lots of practice hours, lots of practice servers, practice laps, tweaking on these setups, massaging them. And it's really a team effort. We all try different stuff, find out what works, find out what doesn't, and I think you're seeing the results of it. So thanks to the team, thanks to our sponsors, Souza Media and Stent Analyzer.
Definitely. Well, thanks for your time, Mark, and we'll see you at Kansas. Congratulations once again on being the champion for the Super Cup season, or series, I should say.
Thank you, guys.
Alrighty, that was Mark Pageant, your champion. Definitely had a dominant race here tonight. 118 laps led on the day out of 156, and what a race it was. I mean, Big Al, any final thoughts?
Wow. That's all I got.
That's definitely a good one. Short and sweet and to the point. Wow. I think that's probably what's on everybody's mind here tonight. Definitely appreciate everybody out there tuning in. If you like the racing you've seen here tonight, of course, racing always is going on here in the ISCA, so reach out to Kenny Powell to get involved, to join in, participate, and race with these legendary drivers out here. I mean, some of the best on the sim are out here on the racetrack, and you get to tussle with them a little bit. Of course, you got to be respectful, but we appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you, I do believe, Saturday, about the same time, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the broadcast will go live, and then the actual race itself, green flag, a little bit after 9:30. So make sure you tune in. That's also going to be another championship run there for some guys. I mean, can't wait to see who wins that one. I mean, Chris Severa, Abner Acosta, just to name a few. I mean, or not Abner Acosta, Jose Acosta. I do apologize. But that's just to name a few. Definitely looking forward. I think Kenny Powell also going for a championship there. But definitely, there's only one place you're going to catch it. It's the ISCA, and we'll see you next time.